crafters, welcome back. Today let's have a little bit of fun with a watercolor technique using the new Paint a Flower Daffodil. I like to call it detailed, messy watercoloring. I really had a lot of fun with this technique. It has the nice casual look of a messy watercolor, but then I added in some detail, which I really think brings this image to life. So let's see how I did it. The first thing I did was to stamp the floral image in some embossing ink and emboss it in some white embossing powder. So I have the image on here, and you just can't see it yet, but you will as I start to paint it in. So I wanted to start with that loose kind of look. So I went into some green and watered it down a little bit here. And then I just went over all of these little leaves to bring out the floral and also to help find the lines and give it that kind of messy watercolor look. So as I come in, I can find all of these little leaves, and that helps me to actually find out where all they are. That helps me to find out where they are and get a nice little background in place. So this really is the first step, is to just come in and get some messy watercolor in the background, like so. And then I can come in with a yellow for the daffodils, and I'm just going to go ahead and color those all the way in. And again, I'm trying to go inside and outside the lines, so I'm using that embossing line to my advantage, where I can really get the detail and see where I'm going with it. That looks pretty good. And then I want to do some different colors for these little small flowers. They look like little impatiens, so I'll dip into kind of a pinkish red here, the cherry blossom family. And this is a really strong color, so I don't mind diluting it down a whole lot. And again, I'm just going to do a loose watercolor around these guys. Oops, and I missed one down here. There we go. And then I have these little berries, so I'll go into more of a red color. And again, get that watered down a little bit and just come around those berries. I'll hit the stems of these berries at the very end. Okay, so that is the first bit of the loose watercolor. So basically it's just giving it a loose background that extends beyond the lines of each of the elements. Now I can come back in and do some detail. So I can go into some different shades of green and start mixing colors to make something a little bit more bright, a little bit more dense, and then I can use that to start filling in the actual leaves and trying to avoid going into the outside of the line. So I might want to grab a smaller paintbrush to get some of that color in there without having to worry about going outside the lines. So because I'm doing this with the embossing, it's going to help keep that color inside the lines and give me that more detailed effect that I'm looking for. So just keep adding in color now just inside the lines and avoiding outside of the lines. I've got a pretty decent amount of green in place here. Alright, so now I can go back in and work on these impatiens a little bit. And I'm going to add some more cherry blossom and even some of the shades of purple to get just a slightly different color, a little bit more dark again, and just dot and detail around the center of these flowers, like so. And you can see now that they're starting to pop off the page a little bit more and take on the look of a detailed, messy watercolor look. Okay, so the red cosmos I'm going to dip right in here and get a pretty solid color, and just come back in and dot each of these. And if I do happen to get any outside the lines like I did here, I can just bring my brush back in and soak it up. And then I'm wiping it off on a towel. Same thing with here. Those little berries are just really, really tiny. So don't be afraid to come back and pick up any extra color that you don't want. There. All right, so now the daffodils. And I already have a yellow base in place, so I'm going to come into an orange color. This is the Fiery Sunset group. And even into the Warm and Cozy to add just a little bit of warmth to this. There we go. A nice bold orange. And I'm going to add some water to that. There we go. And I'll get some detail now on the centers of these. And I can even just kind of work it out a little bit so that's not as drastic of a change. There we go. Beautiful. Now I have the center as well, so I am going to add a little bit of brown to that to tone it down. If I think it needs a little bit more, I can add just a little bit more to that. There we go. Same thing with the inside of it here. And then I'll go back into the more bright orange and grab some detail around the edge. All right, so that looks pretty good. I do want to add just a little bit more detail to the daffodils, so I can do that just by adding another layer of orange and making it more intense. So I just want to, I forgot to smooth out those petals. There we go. Okay, so let's add in a little bit more detail. So I'm going to add in some red cosmos to the orange. There we go, that's a good orange, really dark orange. And just a little bit of detail here. So there you go, just a few minutes and you've got a really, really cool looking, messy, detailed watercolor. Just adding in a little bit of green to finish up those berries here. Otherwise they look like they're floating. And there we go. So messy but neat. It gives you a little bit of detail, so that way you're not just looking at some blobs of color. You know what it is that you're looking at. You're looking at some daffodils. I hope you enjoyed this fun little technique and that you use it in a project soon. Of course, if you do, don't forget to tag me at Pixel Mavens Retreat so that I can find you out on social media and share your creations with the rest of my followers. Thank you so much for stopping by today, and until next time, happy crafting. bye.